I'm a Catholic. I'm a Catholic. Connor's trying to convince viewers here, falsely, that he is a good person. Yes, we're reshooting how fascists like to weaponize religious institutions. Let's look at who Connor referenced during his debate with Medi. Spanish dictator Franco. Connor's actually doing precisely what Franco did during his dictatorship. Franco weaponized Catholicism during the Spanish Civil War. Franco liked to present himself as a pious, faith-driven man. Mussolini did this too, by the way, presenting to the predominantly Catholic population that he was in line with the mores of the time. He was aligned with good and righteous people. This effect was twofold. It presented to the public at large that he was a good person, and in that binary thinking, anyone who was opposed was bad or evil. The second part that this enables is then any heinous act that he committed against this enemy in the future was now a moral and righteous act. Connor in this debate repeats a popular Franco propaganda piece. He tried to rally the population against communists by saying that they killed priests and raped nuns. These were the leaders and pious people of their community. They were seen as being innocent. The effective piece of that propaganda is now that if you identified as a communist, you are pro-murder and pro-rape. Which, if you didn't know, that's not what communism is about, at all. Ideally, you would go to a Marxist reading group to learn more about communism, but I can assure you there is nothing about killing priests or raping nuns in the manifesto. The reason why they were targeted was because the communists were actually a challenge to those who held power at the time. This effectively communicated to the public at large that the communists now need to be categorized under the enemies category. I haven't read the guy who Mehdi identifies as a Nazi theoretician, but I don't need to because those ideas are so simply explained that I'm actually explaining them in real time right now. Fascist theory, by the way, does have to be simple to understand because it has to garner the support of the population at large. If you arrive at fascism through democracy, it has to be a numbers game, so it has to have mass appeal. They intentionally use divisive propaganda like this because they are intentionally trying to divert away from the problem the communists are pointing out, which is that they point out that the majority of wealth creation, and those who own the means of production is under the ownership of a small elite few, what Marx referred to as the bourgeoisie. Fascism is appealing to the Connor types, who seem to not to want to work that hard under the current economic structure to access that power. He's trying to find a shortcut through that capitalist meritocracy by instead going with a system that appeals to his inherent traits. He does not have to actively labor for what he is, which is a white Catholic dude. And what we're seeing now is actually quite interesting with the Epstein files because as, unfortunately they're not on this platform, Non-Compete has pointed out the Epstein files are a loyalty test to the fascist leader who is Trump. Fascist supporters like Connor are always just one loyalty test away from being put into that out group. It's like that famous poem, post-World War II poem by a Lutheran pastor named Martin, I don't know how to say the accents, Niemöller. So the poem is written down as beginning with, at first they came for the communists. That's the version that they have at the Boston Holocaust Memorial. And it goes, at first they came for the communist and I did not speak out because I wasn't communist. And then it continues, socialist, trade unionist, Jews. And then finally, when they came for you, there is no one left to speak out.